Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
This call for prayer is coming from the Congress, where some 50 Muslim congressional staffers gather weekly to do Jum'ah prayer. The diversity of this group reflects the diversity of the entire Muslim world. These Muslims enjoy complete freedom to practice their faith.
Well, I mean, you just have to look around here, that we're allowed to reserve a room in the Capitol of the Congress openly and say our prayer with no fear of retribution, with no worry. We've never been hassled being here before because, it's accepted that there's a separation between church and state, between religion and government, but you have a freedom to conduct your religion, whatever it may be, at any time. And so that's what they've recognized. In a lot of other places around the world, either religion would be forced upon you, or you would be forced to stay away from religion. In most cases, here it's completely open society. I say my prayer in my office. They often let me use a congressman's office when he's not around to say my prayers, and no one worries or thinks about it twice. So all our mosques are operating freely and openly. So there is a real freedom of worship and religion here, despite whatever problems we may have. We are protected by the state for our ability to worship and pray and follow our faith.
The Congressional Muslim Staff Association organizes the Friday prayer and many other culture programs on Capitol Hill.
Religious events throughout the year. We have a wonderful Ramadan iftar program that draws over 300 people. It's a great way to present people about Islam and how we practice our faith, and we're also trying to expand about other things, especially the diversity of the Muslim community, because we're not, especially in the United States, the Muslim community is very diverse, African American, white, Arab, South Asian, and we want to let them know that the Muslim community is not monolithic. And then also, we want our staff, our members of the Congressional Muslim Staff Association, to professionally develop, socially develop. So we're putting on programs that brings us together, helps us network with other leading policymakers on the Hill, and also the great other Muslim organizations off Capitol Hill. So because we have to work together to help promote the interests of the Muslim American community.
However, the forming of the association was quite a journey.
We actually formed the Congressional Muslim Staff Association in October of 2005. It was an interesting formulation because of the fact that I started in Congress in 1998. We got together and talked about the issue of forming a Muslim Staff Association. But shortly after that, some of the staffers left. At that time, there was only a handful of us here. There may have been 5 or 10 Muslim staffers here, particularly amongst those who were active and letting people know that they were Muslim. But some of them left as they moved on, and then we had an even smaller group. But then later on, some other new younger people came on board, and some of them also had the same idea.
Now Muslims in Congress are not only staffers. Congressman Keith Ellison is the first Muslim American to be elected to Congress. He took office in January last year, and it was truly historical.
Islam has been a part of American society throughout. When I swore in on the Thomas Jefferson's Quran. Right, it was his personal property. He read it as he was building and constructing what we know as America today. And today there's 8 million American Muslims. So the fact is, Islam is an important part of the American fabric and will increasingly be seen to be so, inshallah.
Andre Carson is the second Muslim American to be elected to the House of Representatives. The exemplary behavior of these Muslims provide great opportunity to introduce Islam.
At any point during our travels, at some point, because of my behavior, not drinking, needing to take breaks sometimes during the day to make prayer, at some point, other staffers would always ask me about Islam, especially if we were in Muslim countries. And one of the things that made me realize, and I've told other staffers about, is don't hide your Islam, give dawah. Because many times there are people out there who are actually looking for information about Islam. They want to know something, but they don't know who to ask. And if you're not both out there, both being a kind, a good colleague, but at the same time practicing your Islam, they won't know who to ask.
The Congress is one of the most important centers of power in the United States, and it's a dream for many young Muslim Americans to work there. Some might think it is a prohibited dream, but Muslims here disagree.
My advice is just to get involved and know that I have so many Muslims who young Muslims who come up to me and say they'd like to get more involved in politics, they just don't know how. And the way I got involved was to just do an internship here in Washington, and you get to meet people and you get to know people, and then that builds connections. And it's just never to be afraid not to get involved. That you should always take that step. That I think our faith compels us to take that next step, even if we're not sure about it, to take that next step towards our goals and our deeds, and that it can lead to something productive. So never be afraid to take that next step.
It's true that some Muslim Americans after 9/11 attacks had some negative experiences, but it is also true that America is a very tolerant country, and the experience of Muslim Americans in Congress is a perfect example. For Bridges, this is Aziz Fahmy in Washington, USA.